Yeah, I was primed to ask a little about juvie detention as well, and we have a history, well, there's a broader history of scared straight and super predators and all this sociological hokum that's been marshaled around. Since you've been working on the issue for a while, maybe you have something to say generally about that. But in this community, we had a juvie detention center that got, quote, too liberal in the 70s, and the judge that was assigned to take over the reorganization of it said that he wanted to reorganize it with the ambience of Menard, which is a level 3 penitentiary. And I still won't say his name. You can probably figure him out, but the community people can anyway. So I wanted you to talk about that, and since you did mention compassionate release, I think you did, maybe you'll say a few words about the Angola 3-2 and the death of the releasee from Angola in the last week. Thanks.
So, yeah, well, the Angola 3, that is the case of 3 individuals who have been serving in Angola life sentences, convicted of murdering a police officer, and there's a lot of evidence that the conviction was biased, that they were, allegations that they were affiliated with the Black Panther Party, and in fact, I think the U.S. Special Rapporteur on Torture, the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, just looked at the fact that these individuals have been serving in solitary confinement for over 40 years, and said that that was a form of torture, that the UN should consider that was going on in U.S. prisons. So last week, one of those individuals, Herman Wallace, actually, a judge on appeal said that he should get out on, because there had been a problem with the original trial. And he was released from solitary confinement, released back into New Orleans. There was a huge crowd welcoming him at the hospital. He was, it was thought at the time that he was days away of dying of cancer. He actually passed exactly 1 day after he was released from prison, after 40 years in solitary. And he had been re-indicted by the district attorney actually just hours after his release. But in his final words, he, expressed that he felt free and that, he was surrounded by love. So there's there will be a funeral and coming home ceremony for him tomorrow morning in New Orleans, and it will be quite a celebration. It's a powerful story, but certainly demonstrates, just to what extent solitary confinement on a national level is a problem. And in Louisiana, it's pretty unbelievable. The facility that Herman Wallace and the Angola 3 were held at, Angola, has a name Angola because it was a slave plantation where the majority of enslaved Africans came from the country of Angola. And so it was called the Angola Plantation. And when it became a prison instead, they kept the name. You can go, that's where most of the juveniles serving life are housed. About 80% of the people at the 5,000 bed facility are serving life sentences. You can go, there's a rodeo, but it certainly is emblematic of some of the worst of the criminal justice system.
Is there a question over here?
Dana, could you just speak a little bit about your role and your organization?
So the Juvenile Justice Project of Louisiana was founded 17 years ago, and we are a nonprofit legal and advocacy organization that has historically worked for reform of the state's juvenile justice system. We also have begun becoming more and more involved in adult criminal justice issues as well. So Orleans Parish Prison houses both juveniles who are transferred to adult court, but also has primarily an adult population. And our organization practices a campaign model where we believe that for real kind of impact and social change, the combined strategies of impact litigation, Legislative advocacy and media work, but also community organizing are central in terms of moving the pole on public policy issues. So over the years, we've incubated and spun off a few different grassroots membership organizations, including actually Families and Friends of Louisiana's Incarcerated Children, which is a statewide organization of family members who have children in the juvenile justice system. Actually, I see Grace Bauer is coming to give a talk in a couple weeks, and we first met her when her son was in the Louisiana State Prison System, and she's gone on to become an incredible advocate for families' issues and on juvenile justice. But our role is, kind of coordinating with grassroots community organizations, membership groups, and public policy work, strategic litigation when necessary, and media work to kind of hit on all cylinders of being able to craft strategies that we believe will move the pole on public policy, but also build that broad public support in the media with unlikely allies, coalition building, but also that have the voices and experiences of those most impacted by the system at the core. So I'm the director of that organization, so that means my role is to fundraise. But when I'm not doing that, I'm, kind of was helping to coordinate the coalition that brought the ordinance before the council and worked on these reforms.